Hello, welcome to Shelvington. My name's Andy. If you like my videos, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to my channel. Subscription costs you absolutely nothing, but it helps me grow the channel and it helps spread the word to fellow modelers around the world. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what got me started in the hobby as a young child, what got me back into the same hobby some 40 years later, my current layout, and the inspiration behind the layout as it is today, and some upcoming projects. Let's get into it. So, what got me started in the hobby as a young child was back in the 70s. I was bought a train set, Hornby set R786. It was a Hornby Steam LNER B12 loco, number 8509. It's still on the layout. I've got a few random wagons in the set, an oval of track, and a siding with a level crossing. Over the coming years I received a few carriages and a few other bits and bobs to go with it, but whenever I wanted to play trains I would have to lay the track on the carpet, and it was just a real pain. Till one year we got an 8x4 sheet of chipboard, so we mounted the track to the board. The problem was, as the track had been pulled apart so many times over the years and played with by a 5-year-old me, I'm really sorry, I basically had killed the track and the train. So it then got taken up off the board. The board got cut down to measure around 4 foot by 4 foot, which just left a circle of track mounted to a bare board, and it was forgotten about for 20 years. When my first son was born I had the idea of making a new layout, so in 2005 I did just that. I got myself an 8 foot by 4 foot board, found a track plan I liked and started building it. It was a DC layout with 2 main loops and a few sidings. Sadly, my kids, we got 2 by this point, there was no interest from them at all. Shortly after that we moved to New Zealand, so the layout was packed up and shipped over. When we got here, however, I built another layout. This time it was nice and simple, just 2 loops on an 8 foot by 4 foot board. I ran my Class 91 around it a few times, and then work and life and everything else just got in the way, and the layout got packed away again. Fast forward to 2020, my mate and I were sitting in the garage, which at the time was a bar. We've got working beer pumps and optics, there was a dartboard, a pool table, a couch. It was great. After a few beers, my mate turned and said to me, "What's that?" pointing at an 8 foot by 4 foot MDF sheet leaning up against the garage wall. I said, "That's my old train set," I said. He said, "Oh, you should get it out." Anyway, a few days later, I did. Wasn't very good. It was old, it was rusty. But I got the bug again, so I decided I'm going to build another layout. This, however, turned into a huge mistake. The layout I built was totally wrong. It measured 3 meters by 2 meters, and I built it in the corner of the garage. So there was no way that I could get to about half of the layout to do any scenic work at all. I just couldn't reach it. It was 3 different heights. I'd made a hidden reverse loop using first radius curves to save space. And during the first few weeks of running trains, they simply derailed. The only way to get the locos and rolling stock back was literally cut through 2 layers of the layout that were above it. I ran it for a few weeks, but it drove me crazy. I actually stopped using it because there were so many problems. The inclines were too steep, curves were too tight, no way to do any of the scenic areas, too many S-curves, the list just went on and on and on. After about a year I took the decision to rip it all up and replace it with something less complicated. The shelf layout was built first. It's run using JMRI, and a script uses infrared sensors at each end to stop the trains in hidden areas and then send them back the other way after 30 seconds or so. It's not used much anymore. I mainly use it for storage, but it serves as a great test bed for the coming layout. Run for trains, and I knew I wanted a main scenic area. In fact, this whole area in front of the camera right now, this used to be raised up probably around 14 to 15 centimeters high. One of the options was to have a complete scenic area up here, so it measures 1.2 by 1.2 meters, but I could never decide what to actually put on it. In the end I took that scenic area away and we're left with the caravan park, pub and the little farm scene as it is now. But originally across here on the left hand side of the layout, the reason this is sloped up was because this was an incline joining up to that set of points there, the line was going to come off here, just on this area here, go along here, up the incline, around the corner, and then there was a couple of bridges across there to the what would have been the higher scenic area. Each area in the layout tells a story, and in each area several different stories are told. The caravans here and the holiday park, they represent holidays that I took with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. In reality it looks nothing like this, but this is my representation of my memory. Moving around the corner, we've got the pub. Pubs were a huge part of my life growing up as a young lad in the UK. Had many memories of my mum, my dad, my granddad and his best friend going to pubs all around villages in Leicestershire. The Marsden's delivery truck represents my father-in-law. He used to work for the Marsden's Brewery in Burton-on-Trent. In fact, his brother Ken, his mum Ruth, and pretty much my whole of my wife's family used to work for Palatoy as well. Even I used to clean the windows in the offices at Palatoy. And Palatoy, as many of you will know, is home of Airfix and Mainline. But that's for another video. Moving across here to the church. So this building looks similar to the church my wife and I got married in many years ago. The grounds look absolutely nothing like this, but again, this is just my representation of the memories that I've got of the place. Interestingly enough, the church we got married in, it was in a town called, or a village called Whitwick in England, and it is the oldest building in our village, and it actually dates back to the 13th century. Moving across the layout, we've got the bus and the police car. Now the bus is going to Enderby. Now my dad used to work in Enderby at the local police station there, and of course got the police car. So those two things represent my dad, or a kind of a memory for me of my for my dad. Also the police car, my mum actually had an Escort Mark II in that colour. It was a decommissioned police car. So those two things there remind me of my parents. The signal box, this is an actual model, I think it's by Bachmann, but it is of Colville signal box. Now growing up as a child, I used to stand next to that real life signal box in Colville, my hometown, watching Class 37s thundering through the town, hauling coal or granite or other goods and materials. Carrying along round, we've got the helicopter. This represents to me the company I currently work for. Now, we're a major sponsor of Life Flight, which if you Google Life Flight, you'll get loads more information on them. Again, it's a different helicopter, colours are totally different, but again, it's just my representation of that particular memory for me. Moving along, we have my old B12 tucked away, hiding in there somewhere. And there she is. Doesn't work anymore, unfortunately. That's why she's just parked up in this old station. This old station represents for me the memories I had of Quorn and Woodhouse back in Leicestershire, and the Great Central Railway. Again, it looks nothing like this, but this is just my little representation of it. And here we've got Thomas just hiding in the back there. So Thomas reminds me of my half-brother back in the UK. Sadly, since we moved to New Zealand, we don't keep in touch. That's my fault. Life and everything just gets in the way. So, hey Simon, sorry mate. You know where I am. I will email you one day, I promise. One of my very fond memories looking back with Simon and Thomas, we sat on the floor and he had some blocks, and I spelt them out. Each block had a letter on it, and I spelt them out to spell Thomas, Thomas, and Simon, who was very young at the time, I pointed to him, told him what it said, and he read it out. Thomas, he kept saying. And I remember being so proud, because I kept going around telling everyone that I taught him to read, but which of course I didn't. But we had a laugh. Moving around here, there's some wagons from my last video. If you're interested in that video, I'll put a link up on the screen. That's how I clean the wheels. That was a very long process. In the middle of the garage was a 3 metre by 2 metre oval of track. It had a container yard on one side, a small fiddle yard on the other, and it branched off from just about this point here. It worked very well, but the fiddle yard was only capable of holding a few wagons. Then last year, 2023, I made the decision to remove the centre section and extend the layout around the edge of the garage, making a lot more room. So we've got an 18 track fiddle yard, so that's accessed by the rear line there that comes off back down here, goes around the corner and then disappears down there. The fiddle yard entrance is right at the back there. I'm not sure if you can see because there's lots of wagons in the way, but that comes all the way down, all the way around to an oval at the bottom, which has got a reversing loop, and that gives me an 18 track fiddle yard under here, which works very, very well. Moving down the scene, you'll see some new additions. They're going to be featured in a new video soon. Just bought these through our local eBay equivalent here in New Zealand that we use, called Trade Me. But again, we'll discuss those in a future video. Now we've got here 2 Barton's buses. These are really cool. So on the back of the box when I bought these, it reads, in 1928, Barton was the first person to use an oil engine, diesel engine to you and me, to power a bus. Now, interestingly enough, that bus service ran from Nottingham in the UK and terminated in Colville, my hometown. So that's my little connection to them. Moving further down, we've got a couple of porter cabins. Now, a family member used to work for the porter cabin company back in Peterborough in the UK. Sadly, due to differences beyond our control, that family member is not a part of our life anymore, which is a real shame. But this is my link and my sort of nod to him, so miss you, bro. Moving on down, we have the stone walls that I did a video on a few weeks ago. They're just sitting there. Not sure where they're going to go on the layout, but they'll be used soon. And around the corner we've got this little house here. Now, I call this the house with the striped lawn because I've tried to get stripes in the grass. Now this is another nod back to my in-laws. So Dave, I've tried to get you a stripy lawn, mate, but it's kind of worked. So that's Dave there cutting his grass, and on their patio we've got these little planter boxes. In reality, you can't see the patio for planter boxes because my brother-in-law likes planter boxes, but this is just my kind of representation of them. And over here in this corner, this scene was the first scene that I completed. I'll say completed, it will never be completed, but this was the first scene I started to build. So this represents an area back in my hometown. Locally we called it the Rocks, and it's an area of the Charnwood Forest. And if you don't know about the Charnwood Forest, it's worth looking up. The history there is fascinating. This is where David Attenborough grew up and got his inspiration for all his natural history work. Really worth looking up. Moving further around, we have a few coaches. One there, there's one further around as well. Now, coaches were a big part of my life growing up. These represent coach trips that I took with my mum. We'd go all over the place. We go to Blackpool for the day to see the illuminations. We go to Matlock Bath, Oldham Towers, Drake Manor, all the main theme parks. Summer holidays were taken in the coaches. We'd go to all over the place, England, Wales, all seaside towns. One year my mum decided we were going to go to the south of France, so we spent 24 hours on a coach travelling. Yeah, thanks mum. It's a nice holiday. Good on you. And then here we've got the little showground that will get developed over the next few months. It's had a little bit of damage to it recently. I did find the cat sitting up here a few weeks ago. I'm not sure quite what else damage he's done, but he took a shine to that stand and knocked that over, and several other things. But this represents to me my grandparents. We used to spend a lot of time in the summer in the UK going out to different shows and festivals all over the Midlands. There wasn't a weekend go by where we wouldn't be out. So that's my little nod back to them. So what's next for the layout? Well, the next plan is to build a TMD where I'm standing. Maybe another station, but I need to get proper planning permission for that this time. There is talk that the local authority, well, her that pays the mortgage, she wants to fill the area with gym equipment. Now, as you can imagine, the resident of Shelvington is putting forward his objections to the aforementioned gym proposal. And seeing as how we have a spare room, the resident of Shelvington can see no reason why any future expansion of the town should be compromised. So we'll have to wait and see on the outcome of that. Stay tuned. Dotted all over the layout as well, there's quite a few delivery trucks. They're quite numerous. There's still a lot in a few boxes that need to come out and get put onto the layout, but they will over the next few months. So they represent a huge part of my life. Back in the UK, I used to work for many major parcel carrying networks. So that's kind of my link back to some good times, some happy times in the UK. Met some wonderful people. Still got some wonderful friends from those days. Happy times. And moving around here, as you can see, this area is not being developed at all. Track's been laid, but no scenic work's been done at the minute. It's just a bit of a storage area for some of the locos. We've got the Pullman at the front here, we've got the Scotsman, and I think we've got Queen Maud at the back there, just sitting there with a few coaches on her. Moving around, we've got Cock of the North, and we've got Mallard, and we've got my diesels, and a few steamies waiting for somewhere to live. So we've got two main lines, the outer line, the inner line, and this is a reversing loop that goes around the back there, comes back down here, and then joins up back down here. So the trains come along and they can reverse all the way around, which is really, really helpful. Over there we've got the little engine shed that will go somewhere, hopefully, in the new TMD, if we can get approval. When we get approval. Some little wagons there, just a few more bits to go on. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Feel free to drop me some comments. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye bye.